Okay, continuing with reflections. On the previous couple of examples, we had specific lines of reflections. On the first example, we had x equals 0, or that's the y-axis. And then the last example, we reflected over the line y is equal to x. Certain lines of reflection follow specific rules. If you're reflecting things in a coordinate plane, if you have one of the lines of reflection, either the x-axis, or that's also the line y is equal to 0, the y-axis is the line x is equal to 0, the line y equals x, just to show you really quick, even though that was the last example, this is my coordinate plane, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, the line y equals x goes right through the origin like this, basically at a 45-degree angle. And then the line y is equal to negative x. The y-intercept is 0, and then the slope is negative 1. It would look like this. But if you didn't notice on that last example, we reflected over the line y is equal to x. We had a point A, I think it was something like negative 1, 4, something like that. And then the image A prime, since this is a pre-image, was 4, negative 1. It follows this rule. You start with the coordinates A, B. A is negative 1, B is 4, and then the reflected point is 4, negative 1. You just switch the x and y coordinates, in other words. And then B had the coordinates, I think it was 3, 0 as the last example, and then the coordinates of B prime, if you didn't know, 0, 3. Maybe some of you are thinking about, well, shoot, I wonder if I could just switch the x and y coordinate. Yes, you can. So instead of having to reflect things every single time, if you have one of the lines of reflection is either y equals 0, which is the x-axis, x equals 0, the y-axis, line y equals x, the line y equals negative x, you could use one of these rules. And I would assume for most people, it's a lot easier to use the rules than trying to use the graph. If it's the x-axis or y-axis, it's probably not that difficult in order to figure out the coordinates of the image using the graph, but y equals x or y equals negative x, I would assume, again, for most people, y equals x. You're just switching the x and y coordinates. Let's just say I'm reflecting this point, A, negative 1, 4, about the line y equals negative x. Yes, I can graph that and show you the coordinates of A prime, but this is saying take x coordinate, the opposite of that, and then make it the y coordinate. Take the y coordinate, take the opposite of that, and make it the x coordinate. So negative b, negative a prime for this reflection would actually be negative 4, positive 1. If I were reflecting over the line y equals negative x. So I'm going to say I highly suggest, which means write it down in your notes, each of these rules, and then you could refer back to them when you're reflecting over these specific lines. If you have a different line like x equals 4, you can't use one of these rules. So these rules are pretty specific, but they should be pretty helpful for you to reflect over certain lines.